we're going to tell you a short story. Many of our classmates asked, why have you named your team name as Preethikids? Now we're going to tell you that story. Initially, we thought we should name our team as Data Kids. Again, we thought for a moment. Our Professor Sainem is the only person who taught us what is data. So it is for us, data is strongly correlated with Professor Sainem. So we thought, why not name our team as Preethikids? As you know, Preeti is pretty, and we all think we can make our data story more pretty. And here comes Preethikids with Superstore data story.
Yeah.
So we chose to our database is Superstore. Is a Superstore, and so what we're going to focus today is sales, margin, region, category, subcategory, customer, shipping costs, and finally the correlation between margin and cost. We want to tell you a story today. As consultants, MBA students, we want to create a value for the company. So we want to increase the profitability of the company. Now, our analysis separated by 3 parts. First, the first graph is going to be, we focus on the furniture segment for the Superstore company, and so this segment we want to check which region has the highest margin. After that results, we want to narrow down and to understand in that region with the highest margin which subcategory has the highest margin. We want to understand as well if there are maybe negative margins, lowest margins, and what are the problems for that. So when we got our negative margin in the subcategory in that region, there are many factors that affect that negative margin, and we ran the correlation how those factors are correlated to the negative margin. Now, the first graph, we checked which region has the highest margin for furniture. As you can see here, the West region has the highest margin. Now Ming will continue and will focus with the subcategory in the West region.
So in our second stage analysis, we input 4 variables: 2 dimensions, the subcategory of furniture, and the customer segment, and 2 measures: profit and sales. These 4 variables help us have a better understanding of this data set. And just look at the chart. The length of the bar represents the percentage weight of each variables. And the color green, and green means we're earning money, and red means we're losing money. Very obvious. But according to our observation, we found out 2 very interesting things. First, in terms of sales, very obvious. We can see the length of the bar here is longer than the other 3 categories. The corporates generates the most sales for the company, for superstores. But in terms of margin, there's a different story. Small businesses actually generates the least sales for the company, but they have the highest margin rate. Very obvious. The same thing happens if we consider the different subcategory of furniture. Look at here. The office furnishing, which has very least sale here, but their profit margin, the margin rate is super high. Maybe the highest one in the 4 categories. So, next slide. So our conclusion is what we find here. As I have mentioned, small business, they have poor sales, but they have lower sales, but they have high margin. The same thing happens here. Office furnishing, subcategory of furniture, but we have found more. Home office. What happened in home office? There are two subcategory of furniture, which are bookcases and tables. We're selling to home office. Actually, we're selling it much lower than the cost. We all know that West region is most profitable region. So what happened here? it takes us a long time to figure out what happened, but finally we have some clue. Marvin will introduce you what happened.
All right, thank you, Ming. As Ming said, our next priority is to figure out the reason why these two subcategories are causing the loss to us. So we made a lot of efforts to it. Finally, we ran the correlation test between margin and the total sales, margin and the unit price, and margin and the shipping cost. We were glad to find out that there is a medium correlation, negative correlation between shipping cost and margin, which means with the increasing in shipping cost, it is dragging down our margin. So to furthermore improve our point, we did individual tests between margin and the different subcategories. In bookcases subcategory, where we are losing money, we found out that the R value is negative 0.47, and as you can see, the line here is very steep. However, in chair and chair mats, we can say it's different. The absolute value of R is smaller, and as you can see, the line is not that steep anymore. Office furnishing, pretty much the same. R value is absolute value of R is even smaller, and this line is almost flat. However, our second category, which is causing our loss, tables, we can say R value is negative 0.41, and you can see that this line is very steep. So to summarize that, we came up with this table. As you can see here, the R square of bookcases and tables are much higher than other subcategories, which means shipping cost is doing something to our margin. And as you can see, beta value here, the absolute value of bookcases and tables are also higher than other subcategories. So it plays a more important role in these two subcategories. So to our conclusion, we find out that the small business is actually more profitable segment. So actually they are just generating not much sales here. So as a supermarket, we can pay more attention to this segment because they are generating a higher margin with lower sales. Secondly, shipping cost is very critical in this case. So our further research will be how can we manage our shipping cost and lowering it down with increasing our margin finally. So because it can, with controlling shipping costs, we can improve our financial performance.